Shangu crouched low, eyes scanning the scene below in disbelief. So many soldiers, and they still can't kill it. The monster, despite being riddled with bullets, refused to fall. It twisted unnaturally, howling in pain, rage, or maybe something worse. Around it, the military scrambled, yelling orders, repositioning, retreating. It was chaos disguised as control. Shangu knew it was now or never. He slid away from the cliff's edge, careful not to draw attention, and ascended a narrow rock face just above the commotion. A jagged boulder offered shelter. There, hidden in the shadows, he caught his breath and observed. A blast-scorched clearing stretched out below him, and beyond it, something new, a man. Isolated. Focused. He wore a sterile white lab coat, completely out of place amid the rubble and ash, and was carefully extracting blood from the corpse of a mutated beast. Shangu narrowed his eyes. Consortium, he thought grimly. They're not just killing these monsters, they're studying them. He began inching forward, hugging the cliffside, careful not to make a sound. Then something made him pause. Across the cratered landscape, beyond the scientist, loomed a derelict multi-story structure. Its concrete frame was half collapsed, paint faded, windows long shattered. Yet despite its ruin, someone stood on its rooftop. A tall figure in white. Unmoving. Regal. His posture was calm, but his eyes were everywhere, scanning the forest, the soldiers, the burning wreckage below. And beside him, another shadow, an attendant, perhaps, or a guard. Shangu stiffened. That's the one in charge. There was something about the man's stance. Not arrogance, ownership. As if this devastation belonged to him. As if every scream, every drop of blood, every secret of Mount Jing answered to him. Shangu's fingers curled instinctively around his weapon, but he knew better than to act. He was one man. And below the building was a fortress of guards, researchers, and tech beyond anything he had seen before. This isn't just an operation. This is a project. Years in the making. Slipping away, Shangu moved through the skeletal remains of what had once been a city. Faded storefronts, collapsed balconies, vines swallowing old neon. A strange silence lingered beneath the surface noise of soldiers and science. He found himself pausing in front of a building, a crumbling sushi restaurant. The sign was cracked but legible, the image of a smiling fish faded by sun and time. Sushi. He'd only heard of it from books. So strange. So far from home. What was this city before the fall? He allowed himself a moment to imagine what it must have been like, bustling crowds, the scent of fresh rice and fish, neon lights blinking above cheerful music. Then the thought passed, and he moved on. Ahead, he noticed a tobacco shop, its glass doors shattered, but the shelves inside, still mostly intact. A grin tugged at his lips. Tobacco. Maybe even alcohol. Might as well get something out of this disaster. He approached cautiously, heart a little lighter. Surely the military wasn't interested in a place like this. Slipping inside, he noted the plastic-wrapped cartons, their labels faded but legible. He reached for one, only to find the packaging brittle, the content spoiled by time and moisture. He checked another. And another. All ruined. His satisfaction soured. So much effort, and nothing lasts. Still, he wasn't ready to leave empty-handed. He began digging through drawers, lifting cracked floorboards, searching for anything worth salvaging. Not for profit. For proof. A memory of a world before everything broke. Then, under a counter, tucked between old newspapers and broken glass, he found something, a sealed tin, heavier than it looked. The lid was hard to pry off. Inside, cigars. Dry, but intact. Shangu chuckled under his breath. Not bad. He slipped them into his bag. But just as he turned to leave, a distant sound reached his ears, a heavy mechanical thud. Then another. Not footsteps. Not chains. Something waking up. He froze. Far off, the rooftop man turned his head in that direction. And smiled. After rummaging through the ruined tobacco shop, Shangu wandered deeper into the collapsed town. Night had fallen, and the sky above was veiled in thick ash and clouds, turning the landscape into a realm of shadows and silence. He paused as he approached a strange, cracked display window. Inside, dolls. Dozens of them. Lined neatly along the shelf of what once might have been a toy store or a curio stall. Their porcelain faces, covered in dust, stared back at him with lifeless, haunting eyes. Some were broken, arms missing, heads cracked. Others remained pristine, wrapped in faded plastic. Shangu frowned, confused. What were these for? Who were they for? He turned away without answers. Outside, the wind stirred the ash like soft whispers, and he continued along the uneven streets. His boots crunched against rubble, glass, bone, he couldn't tell. The city was a ghost. Soon, he found another shop. The inside smelled of mold and rot, but he scavenged anyway. Among the ruined goods, he found a jar labeled in old script, white gold. Curious, he twisted it open. Small round tablets tumbled out onto the floor with a clink-clink. He scowled. Just medicine. Or candy. Or nothing. With a snap of frustration, he flung the jar to the ground, shards scattering across the tile. Still, one thought lingered in his mind, something Wang Fuji once told him. This city held gold. Real gold. In secret shops. Maybe the old man was rambling. Or maybe not. Even if it's night, I can still search. And so Shangu pressed on, slipping deeper into the heart of the forgotten city where danger and history intertwined. Meanwhile, in a quiet corner of the trading city, the dim light of a lantern flickered inside a modest home. Liu Yuan sat up weakly in bed, wrapped in sweat-soaked cloth. Beside him, Sister Xiao Yu wiped his brow with care, her hands gentle but her face pale with worry. "Thank you for everything," he murmured. She smiled faintly. "Just rest. You'll need strength for class tomorrow." Liu Yuan chuckled. "You're still worried about school." Xiao Yu glanced toward the window. Darkness was thick now. Outside, footsteps. Fast. Heavy. They both froze. "Did you hear that?" she asked, whisper sharp. "Yes. There's more than one." Xiao Yu snatched a kitchen knife and turned toward the door. Her hands were trembling, knees locked in fear. "Stay here," she said. But her voice cracked. Liu Yuan tried to sit up. "Don't go," crash. The door exploded inward. Men stormed the house, faces masked, hands armed. Xiao Yu screamed as one lunged at her. She raised the knife instinctively, slashing blindly. The man cursed in pain, blood spraying from his arm. Enraged, he tackled her, slamming her to the ground, pinning her wrist. "Let me go," she shrieked, voice raw. Another attacker saw Liu Yuan and moved to silence him. But the boy was already rolling off the bed, barely dodging a knife swipe. Years of surviving in a harsh world had taught Liu Yuan how to move. How to breathe through fear. These men, just city scum, he realized. Opportunists. But opportunists with blades. Just when things seemed desperate, the door to the classroom nearby slammed open. The teacher, gun in hand, shirt hastily thrown on, rage etched into every line of his face. The robbers turned. One grinned. "You again? Always preaching. Let's see what you're hiding." The teacher didn't wait. He fired. One attacker screamed, clutching his bleeding side, collapsing. Stunned, the others froze. And then Liu Yuan stood tall, pistol clenched, aiming at the remaining men. "Run," he said coldly. They didn't need to be told twice. They fled, trampling over each other, leaving behind their fallen comrade. But Liu Yuan wasn't done. He stepped to the door, aimed carefully, and squeezed the trigger. Pop! Pop! The echoes of gunfire rang through the quiet city night. The gun clattered faintly as it slipped from Liu Yuan's trembling fingers and hit the ground. His breathing came in ragged, shallow gasps. Even as the blood cooled on the floor, his thoughts burned, disbelief, fear, shame. His eyes stared at the lifeless bodies sprawled just a few meters away. He was only 13, and he had just killed. Sister Xiao Yu knelt beside him, wrapping her arms tightly around his small shoulders, trying to quiet his shaking. "It's over," she whispered, voice cracking. "You did what you had to do." Liu Yuan didn't answer. His ears still rang from the gunfire. His pulse pounded like a war drum. The teacher, Jiang, stood nearby, still stunned. He stared at the scene, then at the boy. "What have I taught him?" He thought grimly. The cruelty, the resolve, it was familiar. Too familiar. Like seeing a reflection walk by war. He stepped forward, voice low but steady. "That pistol. Did Shongsu give it to you?" Liu Yuan finally looked up, eyes hollow but resolute. "He didn't give it to me. He left it behind, because he knew someone had to protect what he couldn't." Jiang nodded slowly. Liu Yuan continued, standing shakily. "We'll leave. Me and Sister Xiao. We'll go far, out of the city. I don't want to bring more trouble." "You don't have to run," the teacher said, placing a hand on his shoulder. "Let me handle this." Liu Yuan looked at him, unsure whether to believe it. Outside, the sound of approaching boots echoed through the street like a slow drumbeat of fate. A convoy of soldiers, dressed in dust-caked combat gear, closed in on the school. Their commander, face scarred, jaw clenched, walked with brutal purpose. Only Shangu would have the guts to pull something like this, the commander muttered. He's as bold as he is dangerous. From the shadows, an old voice spoke up, Wang Fuji. He'd come out in his night robe, shaken awake by the commotion. It's all a misunderstanding, he said, trying to soothe them. You know how boys are, guns, pride, mistakes. But the commander wasn't moved. Save your excuses. I know now, Shangu killed my brother, Wang Dongyang. He's a murderer. Wang Fuji's smile faltered. Desperate, he reached for a pouch of credits. We can settle this. The commander's reply was cold steel. He drew his weapon and pressed the muzzle against the merchant's forehead. You have 3 seconds to disappear before I put one through your skull. Wang Fuji stammered and backed away in horror, nearly tripping on his robe. The military approached the school doors, prepared to arrest every relative of Shangu, to make a point. But the teacher stood in the way. Without fear. Without stepping aside. The soldiers raised their rifles, but he didn't move. Instead, he calmly extended a single, creased card toward the commander. Take this to Boss Luo, he said, tone sharp with authority. Tell him Jiang is calling. This is beyond your pay grade. The commander sneered. You think some piece of paper protects you? You think I care about names? He grabbed the card and paused. 178th Fortress. The blood drained from his face. He took one step back. Then another. The commander's composure cracked, jaw twitching, breath uneven. Without another word, he turned, motioned for his men, and climbed into the nearest military vehicle. His hands trembled on the steering wheel. And just like that, the engine roared to life, and the convoy peeled away into the night, leaving dust and tension behind. Inside the school, silence returned. Xiao Yu wiped her tears and helped Liu Yuan to his feet. The teacher looked out at the fading lights of the retreating convoy. They'll be back, he muttered. But next time, they'll ask permission. Liu Yuan, still shaken, asked, Who are you, really? Jiang smiled faintly. Just a teacher. But some teachers have seen more war than soldiers ever will. He turned back toward the bloodied floor, his gaze lingering on the revolver. Then toward the door. If Shangu made enemies this powerful, the real war hasn't even started. Inside the school, a suffocating silence hangs thick in the air. Soldiers, still uneasy after the earlier retreat, aim their rifles steadily. One of them steps forward, pointing his gun directly at Liu Yuan. Where's the weapon? He demands coldly. But instead of fear, he's met with something unexpected. Liu Yuan's eyes flare with fury, sharp and unblinking, like a wolf cornered but not broken. For a fleeting moment, the soldier hesitates. There's something unsettling about the boy's stare. He lowers his voice, but he also lowers his weapon slightly. Xiao Yu clutches Liu Yuan's hand. Will we be okay? She whispers to Jiang. Jiang nods, calmly. Yes. No one here will be harmed. Not tonight. Liu Yuan bows his head slightly and says, I'm sorry, teacher, for bringing this trouble. Jiang's expression softens. You protected your home. There's no shame in that. Then, the boy looks up, curious and cautious. Teacher, what did you do before you came here? Jiang looks out the window, where stars flicker faintly behind clouds of dust and war. I was a soldier, he says simply. Why did you stop? A long pause. Because war doesn't save anyone, Jiang replies quietly. It only teaches you how to bury things, hope, people, yourself. Liu Yuan swallows that answer with the solemnity of a boy who's seen too much already. I thought you were going to leave the city, he asks. I am, Jiang says. I was planning to leave soon. Back to Sanbei. Liu Yuan's eyes widen slightly. Sanbei, the far northwest? Where the snow never melts. Jiang nods. Where yellow dust buries the roads, and the white fields never end. There's hardly a tree for miles, but, he smiles faintly, the people still wait. Wait for who? But the teacher says nothing, only offering that quiet, enigmatic smile that keeps his ghosts hidden. Jiang crouches down to Liu Yuan's level. The military won't hurt you. They don't want this problem. Especially not with Luo on his way. Meanwhile, at the outer gates of the city, the sound of metal groaning fills the air as giant reinforced doors begin to creak open. Sparks fly from old machinery as soldiers crank the gears to life. A black, heavy-duty military vehicle waits beyond the gate. Inside, Boss Luo sits like a swollen toad on a throne of leather and tension, phone pressed to his ear. Yes. I have Jiang Jinglan with me, Luo says, dabbing sweat from his temple. The voice on the other end pauses. Are you sure it's him? Luo swallows. Not entirely. Not yet. Then kill him, the voice replies coldly. We can't let people like him disappear into the shadows. Luo's smile falters. Do you think the 178th fortress would forgive me for that? The voice chuckles darkly. It's the same man who stood on the rooftop overlooking the ruined city, calm, precise, and untouchable. No, he says. But maybe they'd send a thank you note if you were discreet. Luo glances out the window, heart pounding. I could have him. Disappear quietly. No need, the man replies. Send him back. Let Jiang be someone else's headache. Luo scowls. That's easy for you to say. Because I don't make stupid enemies, the man replies, then shifts gears in the conversation. Tell me, Luo, you mentioned a boy. Shanggu. You have him? A gleam appears in Luo's eye. Yes. Not in custody, but we know where he is. The man's tone turns sharp. Did he find anything? Luo shrugs. He wandered the ruins. Didn't report anything of use. I see, a brief pause. Have you heard anything about Yang Xiao Jin? Luo furrows his brow. Who? It's the first time I've asked, the man replies, voice now like ice. But I suggest you start asking around. Back in the city, Jiang feels the distant tremor of something shifting. Political forces are moving. Old alliances are stirring again, and dark names, Yang Xiao Jin, are resurfacing like bones from the earth. And somewhere in the half-ruined city of Mount Jing, Shanggu stands alone, unaware that all eyes are turning toward him, military, mercenaries, and monsters alike. He's not just being hunted anymore. He's becoming the spark of a coming war. Luo's hands tremble as he pockets the phone, the weight of Qing Jun's orders still hanging over him like a noose. He turns to the squad commander. Don't touch the younger brother. His name is Liu Yuan, Luo says, his voice low. Qing Jun was clear. Do what you want with the rest, but not him. The squad commander grits his teeth and nods stiffly. He doesn't like it, but Qing Jun's voice carried the weight of far more dangerous consequences than his own pride could handle. Inside the walled compound, beneath flickering floodlights and growing shadows, Qing Jun finally sets the device down. His eyes, cold and calculating, shift toward the prisoners. I am Qing Jun of the Qing Family Consortium, he says with calm menace. You should have heard of us. Before him, Luo Xinu and her surviving partner kneel with backs straight, defiance flickering in their eyes despite exhaustion. Xinu's glare is sharp, anger mixing with barely contained fear. Qing Jun walks slowly toward them, the hem of his pristine white coat dragging faint trails of dust behind him. Tell me, he says, everything about Song Su and Yang Xiao Jin. How are they connected? The man beside Luo Xinu clears his throat nervously. They're not connected. Not that we know of. Yet the names sound alike, Qing Jun muses. Strange, don't you think? The kneeling fighter nods quickly, eager to stay on the man's good side. But it's just a coincidence. That's all. We did encounter someone else, Commander Shu Zanu. A superhuman. Controls shadows. Qing Jun's brows rise slightly. But Song Su, the man continues, lowering his voice, he's the one you should worry about. He ran the opposite way during the canyon ambush. Carried a wounded man over his shoulders like it was nothing, and still outran a Mokar. He could be a superhuman too. Qing Jun turned slowly, his attention now locked on the speaker. Interesting. Why didn't you say that sooner? The man's face pales. I didn't think it mattered. Please, we're just civilians. Without missing a beat, Qing Jun gestures to his aide. Commander Shu, risk factor C. Song Su, risk factor F. The moment the record is made, the soldier grabs the frightened man by the arm. He begins pleading desperately. Please? I told you everything. We had nothing to do with anything. But Qing Jun raises a hand. Luo Xinu and your partner, come with me. The rest are not our concern anymore. Night falls heavily over the ruined edges of the trading city. Under cover of darkness, Qing Jun and his unit move toward a secure warehouse. Several soldiers carry an enormous, metal-reinforced cage, their boots thudding rhythmically against the ground. The metal creaks and groans with every step, as if protesting what it holds. Xinu watches in horror as they lower the cage. "What is that?" she whispers, voice cracking. Her partner stumbles backward and screams. Inside the cage lies a grotesque creature, unconscious, but unmistakably monstrous. Chains wrap tightly around its limbs and neck, binding it like some ancient beast from legend. Pale, gnarled limbs. A head shaped like it once belonged to something human, but now twisted beyond recognition. Dry blood cakes its claws. Qing Jun steps closer, eyes gleaming. "This is a product of the pre-disaster era," he says softly. Luo Xinu stares at him, wide-eyed. "What kind of product?" Qing Jun turns to her, finally offering something resembling a smile, cold and clinical. "Biological engineering. Weaponization of the human genome. Before the collapse, this was what your ancestors were working on. Power at any cost." He crouches near the bars and addresses the creature as if it can still hear him. "They called it a prototype. A living superweapon. This one's incomplete, but it's enough to scare you, isn't it?" Xinu can barely breathe. "Why show us this?" "Because the same blood runs through Shuangsu," Qing Jun replies. "Also I suspect." He stands, brushing dust from his coat. "By midnight, I want Shuangsu, Yang Xiao Jin, and Shu Zanu found. We will classify them properly. Use the creature if needed." His aide salutes sharply. "Yes, Commander Qing." The man who had spilled everything watches in growing horror as the soldiers tighten their grip on the cage. It snarls in its sleep. His voice shakes as he asks, "Where are we going?" Qing Jun gives a faint, dismissive wave. "You'll see," he says. "But I doubt you'll like it." Shuangsu wipes the dust from his jacket and squints at the faded sign of the department store. Broken glass glints on the sidewalk like frost under the dying orange hue of the sunset. The city is eerily quiet, too quiet. He knows he's being hunted. Every cracked window, every motionless alley feels like a potential sniper's nest. But he also knows he has no choice but to keep moving. Staying still means being found. Inside, the department store is a skeleton of its former self, collapsed shelves, overturned mannequins, discarded clothes covered in layers of grime. Shong moves quietly, the soft crunch of debris under his boots the only sound. His eyes scan for anything useful, medical supplies, food, weapons. Elsewhere, beneath industrial lights and the cold scrutiny of Qing Jin's analytical mind, the monster writhes uncomfortably under the focused spotlight. Its eyes, glowing crimson, narrow to slits. It crouches low in the cage, pressing itself against the bars furthest from the light. Its skin bubbles faintly along the arms, as if the light activates something underneath. Qing Jin raises a brow. "Fascinating," he mutters. "Photophobia that appears selectively. This behavior suggests it retains some basic environmental response, but not full cognition. It's responding to stimulus, like a wounded animal." One of the soldiers hesitates before speaking. "Sir, what if it's evolving?" Qing Jin barely glances at him. "They all evolve. That's the point. That's why the origin of flame created them." His voice turns quieter, almost reverent. "To defy entropy, to break the death cycle of cell division. But they succeeded only in making this." He motions again, and a different soldier takes down notes. Subject classification, origin, presumed origin of flame laboratory cell division limit, broken, presumed immortal, cognitive decline, complete physical abilities, enhanced strength, agility, durability sensitivity, high photophobia threat class, omega containment notes, avoid daylight exposure. Potential trigger factor, pursuit targets, Shuangsu, Yang Xiao Jin, Shu Zanu. Luo Xinu stands off to the side, arms crossed, but her expression is tense. She doesn't trust Qing Jin or the monster. "You're planning to use that thing?" Qing Jin turns to her, emotionless. "I don't need to. I need only one of its kind to understand how they cheated death. The rest? We eliminate them." He gestures toward the cage. "You see a monster. I see the legacy of an extinct genius. Imagine what your city would pay for just one vial of its blood. How many fortresses would fall to get the secret of eternal combat viability?" Xinu steps forward, voice sharp. "You mean immortality?" Qing Jin's expression darkens. "Don't flatter them. They're not immortal. They're trapped in decaying bodies, split by evolution gone wrong. I want to control the process. They merely surrendered to it." Just then, his comm crackles to life. Voice over comm, "Sir, we've swept sectors 4 through 7, no signs of Su or the others. They are either underground or have moved east. We'll check the department sector next." Qing Jin looks up, thoughtful. He's close. I can feel it. He turns toward the cage. The creature inside snarls softly, a low, guttural sound that doesn't come from its throat but from something deeper, something inhuman. Qing Jin whispers under his breath, "Let's see how long he can run." Back in the department store, Su finally finds what he's looking for, a locked case of first aid supplies. He smashes the glass quietly, pulling out gauze, antiseptic, and a few syringes. As he packs his bag, a movement flickers in the corner of his eye, just beyond the ruined cosmetics section. He ducks, heart racing. Something was watching him. He presses his back against a pillar, silent. The air in the room shifts. And then, he hears it. A breath. Not human. Not steady. Su tightens his grip on the metal bar in his hand. Whatever they sent after him, it's here. Su's heart pounds in his chest as he clutches the gold-filled cloak tighter. His body is tense, crouched behind a collapsed counter, the faint shimmer of polished jewelry peeking out beneath the folds. He knows the military doesn't come back to a place they've already swept, unless someone or something tipped them off. His breath catches when he hears the telltale crackle of a comlink outside. Soldier's voice, Sector 9 confirmed. Possible tampering. All units, prepare breach formation. Outside, boots shift. Safety switches click. Shadows move past the broken glass. They're not searching anymore. They're hunting. Meanwhile, just across the plaza in the toy store, the unit commander slowly walks past the very shelves Su had touched minutes earlier. His gloved fingers brush over a dusty action figure, then stop. Its placement is subtly off, the dust around it disturbed. He doesn't say a word, but his hand slowly rises into a clenched fist, a silent signal. His squad fans out silently, forming a perimeter around the department store across the street. Commander, whispering, "No mistakes. Confirmed contact. The target might still be inside." Back inside, Su peers through a crack in the wall. He sees them, more than a dozen soldiers, now with shields and short-range weapons at the ready. Too many to fight. Too many to outrun if they block the exits. He retreats deeper into the ruined store, eye scanning for anything he could use. A service elevator shaft. A back hallway. A ceiling panel. Escape routes long forgotten. But every step he takes, he hears them moving too, closer, more coordinated, as if they know his position. He grits his teeth. "Why did they come back?" he whispers. And then it hits him. The gold. The cabinet glass. The smashed jewelry display. His fingerprints. His smell. His presence. They're tracking him, not through sight, but behavior. He disturbed the environment. Left a trail. Suddenly, over the soldiers' comms, Qing Jin's cold voice cuts through. "Qing Jin, radio, do not kill him. Su is to be taken alive. If he resists, disable. But preserve the spine." The soldiers freeze momentarily at the wording, "preserve the spine," before nodding silently. One mutters, "He's not just a fugitive. He's a specimen." Su hears this too, faintly, through a half-open comm device left behind in a soldier's pack. His face darkens. They're not trying to arrest him. They're trying to dissect him. He tucks the gold deeper into his cloak, ties it tightly around his chest, and runs a hand across the nearby wall, cold, smooth, cracked open near the back. A maintenance crawl space. Small. Tight. Barely enough room to move. But it leads somewhere. And right now, anywhere is better than here. Su skids to a halt on the rooftop, his breath ragged, boots scraping against the weathered concrete. His eyes narrow as he stares at the building ahead. The silhouette is unmistakable. Yang Xiao Jin. She stands like a statue in the shadow of a shattered window, her long coat fluttering in the wind. The faint glint of metal shines in her hand, a sniper rifle, already raised, already aimed. In that instant, 100 thoughts race through Su's mind. Is she here to help me? Or is she here for me? Her eye is pressed to the scope. Time slows. From behind, soldiers burst onto the rooftop he just left, shouts echoing across the city blocks. Red targeting lasers begin to dance over nearby walls. Then, the rifle barks. The sound cuts through the wind like a whip crack. Su flinches instinctively, but the bullet isn't meant for him. Down below, on the opposite rooftop, a soldier collapses, his head snapping back violently, helmet rolling off. Screams of confusion rise as chaos erupts among the pursuing troops. From her perch, Yang Xiaojin quickly pulls the bolt and chambers another round. Her expression is calm, cold even, as she speaks into her comm unit. Yang Xiaojin, Songsu is moving east. I've cleared his path. Keep extraction point Delta clear. A voice responds over the comm, garbled by static. Operator, understood. We've locked down the western perimeter. Package must exit within 4 minutes. No more than that. Songsu doesn't waste time. He runs. Each rooftop feels like it's collapsing beneath his feet, but he pushes forward, ducking low to stay out of sight. The flash of Xiao Jin's rifle fires again, dropping another soldier trying to line up a shot. She's covering me. The realization settles in his chest like a second wind. But he also understands something deeper now. They were expecting him. Xiao Jin, the operator on the comms, the extraction team, all of them. This wasn't just luck. This was a rescue mission. Planned in advance. For him. As he jumps to the next rooftop, soldiers below are shouting, "Sniper! Zone 3! Fall back!" and retreating into cover. The commander, however, doesn't flinch. He watches from behind a corner, calmly taking out a cigarette and lighting it. "Commander, radio, he has backup. Someone embedded inside the city. Adjust protocol, Songsu is no longer a rogue element. He's part of an organized unit." Voice on comm. "Authorization for lethal suppression?" "Commander, negative. New order, capture. No body damage. They want him intact." High above, Yang Xiaojin reloads, eyes never leaving the figure sprinting across the cityscape. Just a little more, Songsu, and in the distance, the evac team begins to mobilize. As the thick grey smoke rolls across the rooftop, cloaking the scene in a dense fog, Songsu watches everything unfold from his vantage point, heart pounding, adrenaline surging. Yang Xiaojin's shot had landed, but not on the herself to protect Qing Jin. Her ruined weapons scatter in the wind as her body collapses. Blood stains the rooftop tiles, stark against the pale light of dawn. Yet Qing Jin doesn't even blink. He simply straightens his coat with quiet dignity, picks up the bullet that nearly ended his life, and studies it with a cold, calculating gaze. The engraved casing gleams faintly, custom work. A message. Not just a bullet, but a signature. Qing Jin, TSK. Saud, really? These rebels always do love their theatrics. A nearby soldier, tense and alert, yanks the pin on a smoke grenade and tosses it down. It detonates with a sharp pop, releasing a thick column of smoke that quickly billows up, swallowing everything. Soldier, radio to sniper confirmed, southeast quadrant. Rooftop, the abandoned building. Another voice, permission to engage. Qing Jin, no. Not yet. Track her. She's more valuable alive than dead. He turns to the man still on the ground, the one who had sold out his companions, trembling, afraid. Qing Jin, stoic, you're very brave, and very stupid. You didn't even realize the girl beside you was a superhuman. He tosses the spent bullet toward the man's chest. It bounces off with a clink, the sound louder than it should be in the heavy silence. From above, Xiongsu grits his teeth. Luo Xinu, a superhuman? Since when? How many of us are still pretending to be ordinary while hiding something deeper? He glances at the spot where the smoke is thickest, trying to trace Xiao Jin's position, but the military is already converging, cutting off sightlines. I have to move, now. Meanwhile, deep in the smoke, Qing Jin gives his next order. Qing Jin, to radio reassign units. Forget the sniper, circle her position but don't push. I want Songsu alive. No mistakes. Luo Xinu too. Soldier, and the girl with the fans. He looks back once at the body. Qing Jin, flat, she's already done her job. Back at the rooftop, Yang Xiaojin ejects the spent shell, reloads, and whispers under her breath, damn it, that should have worked. But she doesn't. Hesitate. Her eyes flick to a grappling hook she's prepared. Time to move. As Songsu crouches among the thick foliage at the forest's edge, his breath shallow and his heart thundering, the volcanic sky above casts an ominous red glow over the trees. Smoke billows in the distance, Mount Jing has awakened, and with it, the entire world seems to shift beneath his feet. Behind him, the forest rustles. 3 units of elite Qing soldiers fan out, methodically closing in. But none of them know the forest like Songsu. Just moments earlier, he'd watched as Luo Xinu and Yang Xiao Jin vanished with a casual wave, disappearing in a shimmer of magic, leaving behind only questions. Why help him? Why kill Qing Jin? Why fake a shot at him? It wasn't a missed shot, Xiong realizes. It was a warning, a signal, a setup? Or a test? His thoughts are interrupted by gunfire. The commander had burst through the rooftop door, shield first. Xiong's shots failed to land, but the delay was enough, he had to run. Now the soldiers were closing in. From behind a thicket, Xiong watches silently as the first squad passes, their boots crunching over dry leaves. The young man knows he can't shoot, not with a pistol and dozens of trained fighters spread across the terrain. But he doesn't need to win. He just needs to disappear. A crack of thunder rips through the forest. The volcano bellows again, spewing molten light skyward. Trees tremble as the earth quakes beneath them. For just a moment, everyone freezes, even the soldiers. This is it, Xiong thinks. The world's in chaos. I just have to use it. He darts out like a shadow. The commander, still pacing the tree line, watches smoke rise and murmurs into his radio, "Commander, we're nearing the impact zone. The target's heading into unstable ground." A younger soldier protests, "Soldier, sir, if we follow him into the lava zone, we'll all be Commander, coldly if he makes it to the other side, we lose everything. Finish him on sight." Xiong Su crouches behind a large moss-covered boulder, silently watching the patrols pass. Sweat beads on his forehead, not just from the heat, but the pressure. He knows the terrain won't hide him forever. They'll sweep this place clean. Magic or not, I'm outnumbered. I need an edge. Then, just ahead, he spots it, a collapsed root system, twisted over a hollow underground tunnel, likely carved by lava flow decades ago. Narrow, dark, and treacherous. It's perfect. He slips inside the tunnel. Back at the tree line, the commander stares into the choking black horizon. "Commander, he's going into the fire." "Soldier, what now?" "Commander, grimly we don't chase a ghost into hell. We wait on the edge and watch the smoke. If he comes out, we finish him." But even he doesn't sound confident. Deep in the darkness, Xiong Su finally slows his pace. He's not safe, but he's buying time. Time to think. Time to rest. Time to plan. Luo Xinu. Yang Xiao Jin. Qing Jin, the bullet, the lab, the monster. Too many moving pieces. Too many lies. And now? Now the volcano burns. And with it, maybe the truth will rise too. As Xiong Su drops to one knee, blood pooling beneath him, his breath grows ragged. The sharp pain radiating from his pierced leg, his wounded torso, and his bruised fist signals the stark reality he is no longer in control of this fight. The monsters, red-eyed, chained, and inhumanly silent, close in, undeterred by his defiance. The air grows heavy with iron and smoke. They weren't tracking me, Xiong realizes, they were waiting. Waiting for his moment of weakness. Waiting for his shadow to leave him vulnerable. And worst of all, his dagger is gone, stolen, perhaps, by someone he trusted. One of the monster's lunges, its jagged claws gleaming, aiming to end him. But at the last second, Xiong Su rolls away, the claws raking a fresh gouge into his shoulder. He screams but keeps moving. "I need my shadow back. Even if it kills me." Through gritted teeth, Xiong Su forces himself to his feet, the world spinning around him. He stretches one trembling hand toward the air and summons the red shadow again, despite knowing full well the cost. A deep hum pulses through the forest. And then, it appears. The red shadow materializes once more, erupting from Xiong's body in a burst of blood mist. The force of the emergence knocks back the nearest monster, shattering trees and flinging dirt skyward. Xiong gasps as a sharp wave of phantom pain courses through his body, the price of summoning. The shadow doesn't hesitate. It lunges at the monsters, tearing through them like a spectral demon. Chains snap. Bones crack. One of the creatures is bisected mid-lunge, dissolving into smoke. But Xiong Su feels every blow the shadow takes, each blocked strike echoes in his ribs, every glancing hit dulls his vision. His body is reaching its limit. "I can't take much more." Finally, only one creature remains. It moves with inhuman speed, dodging the shadow's flurry, and grabs Xiong by the throat, lifting him effortlessly into the air. Xiong chokes, eyes bulging, fingers clawing at the air, and then, the monster suddenly jerks violently, its chest erupting with a glowing shard of blue steel. The creature drops Song and collapses. Behind it stands a slim figure cloaked in silver ash, holding a blooded blade. "You really are reckless," the voice says flatly. The smoke clears just enough for Song to see her face, Yang Xiao Jin. Her sniper rifle is gone. In its place, she wields his dagger, his dagger, gripped backwards, still humming with energy. Song collapses, coughing blood, unable to form words. "You can punch yourself later," she mutters. "For now, rest. I didn't steal it, idiot, I saved it. And you." She kneels beside him, places the dagger in his hand, and presses a glowing palm to his chest. A warm surge of healing magic pulses through his body, dulling the pain. Song, eyes fluttering between consciousness and unconsciousness, barely manages a single thought, so they are working together. "But why save me now?" Just before he blacks out, he hears her whisper one more thing, "You not ready for what's coming. But we'll make sure you are." The commander kneels beside the mangled corpse of one of the monsters, his expression grim. His fingers trace the singular shoe print stamped into blood-soaked soil. "One man did this," he whispers. "No. One superhuman." A wave of unease ripples through the soldiers behind him. No words need to be spoken, fear is already in their eyes. These monsters, once used as fearsome test subjects by the Qing Consortium, had never been beaten in direct combat. Until now. Meanwhile, Song Su stands among the wreckage of bodies, breathing heavily, blood drying on his face, his new blade still glowing purple. The shadow beside him, armed with an identical weapon, mirrors his stance perfectly. They are no longer running. They are ascending. In his mind, the palace speaks again, its voice no longer cryptic, but proud. "You've proven yourself worthy of the seal. The next level awaits." A glowing message burns across Song's vision, new quest unlocked, the 1,000 Blades trial reward, 1,000 coins reward upgrade, Soul Shredder form, Phantom Edge objective, eliminate 3 command-ranked enforcers of the Qing Consortium. As the message fades, Song tightens his grip on his sword. The power surging through his veins is overwhelming, but it's also burning away the old version of himself. The one who ran, who doubted, who bled without purpose. That person is gone. He looks down at his reflection in the blade. A small smile plays across his lips. "Thank you," he says softly again, this time not to himself, but to the sword. Let's see how many more monsters want to test fate. In the distance, the forest rustles. The volcano rumbles. And overhead, Qing Consortium drones begin to circle, eyes in the sky, looking for that superhuman who destroyed their secrets. They won't have to look for long, because Song Su is no longer hiding.